What is up, bros? Josh here. Today's video is all about the West Virginia, the Mountain Mama, the newest Tier 6 premium battleship in World of Warships, and boy howdy does it have something cool that comes with it. Well, yes, it has a fancy horn. It doesn't quite come with it. It is a part of the 3000 doubloon extra camo, but hey, it is there. You can buy it, and it's something neat that World of Warships put into this game. So who knows? More horns in the future. It's always something kind of cool. It's always something kind of fun. But the West Virginia, this review, is it worth it video, is all about this Tier 6 battleship. First of all, let's talk about Tier 6 battleships. This is probably one of the most stacked tiers of all tiers in World of Warships for battleships. Not only are the tech tree ships really good, but it has a lot of premium ships that are also really good. So the bar is set extremely high, especially when you talk about is something worth it, especially being a new premium ship. So things we're looking for is this unique, does it play well, and does it give you anything that something else wouldn't, you know, blah. So let's dive into this ship, the strengths, the weaknesses, the goods, the bads, and let's play some game footage as well. Hit points, one of the lowest of all tier 6 ships. Now there are 3 USN battleships at this tier. There is the New Mexico, the tier ship. Just remember, this is the one you can get for free just for playing, 53,200, and then the Arizona, which is arguably one of the best at this tier, probably the top 3, maybe top 1 or 2, depending on who you ask, 57,000. So let's go back to this brand new premium ship, 50,000. It's one of the lowest besides the Normandy, which is the French battleship, which is known for being extremely fast, almost cruiser speed, so that's kind of the trade-off. So West Virginia, not really showing much there for health pool, but hey, it has the armor, right? It's pretty similar to what everything that is USN already is, so that's nothing too special. And actually, it has the lowest of all the USN battleships for the torpedo barrage at 22%. So the guns. This is probably the thing that's going to set this ship apart, but this is something I'm also going to talk about, and this is kind of compared to, if you look at this ship, it's basically an A-hull Colorado in a way, so a stock hull Colorado. Now let's do a flash in the past. The Colorado in closed beta is the bane of most people's existence, and it is actually the one ship that made me quit battleships back in closed beta, or I guess even in open beta when it first came out. And that's because the inaccuracy of these guns. So kind of the ship that it's based off of is what we're kind of looking at right now, although the new age Colorado is much better. So let's kind of just compare it to that. But anyways, the guns, they're really big, 406 millimeters, the second biggest at this tier, just behind the Mutsu, and that's kind of its thing that sets it apart. But 4 times 2, 8 big 406 shells flying out every 30 seconds. That's pretty dang respectable at a 220 millimeter or 220 meter dispersion at, yes, 16.1 kilometer range. So the shortest range of all tier 6 battleships, the lowest health pool, and that is kind of a bit of a bummer. So what you're actually going to need to do on this, no matter what, is you're going to have to bring up the artillery plotting room and use this. This will extend you out to a very decent range of 18.6, but that's something that is going to affect the next part of this ship, which is its AA rating, which is extremely low, one of the lowest at this tier, is because you can't take that AA module, which you can on both the Arizona as well as the New Mexico. Well, actually, you take the plotting room on the Mexico, but the Mexico even has higher than that. So 18.6, that's respectable, especially for that caliber shell. So let's round this ship out with the maneuverability, which is pretty comparable to most of the USN battleships, the other two, as well as the concealment. The concealment, 13.7. If we click on our Hull Sea Captain, which you can move on, I guess that is one of the bonuses, having the ability to move any captain on here and being a training captain. We are running concealment, so these are the values we're looking at here. 13.7. That is so one of the highest at this tier for detectability. Clicking over to the Arizona, 12 kilometers there, and then the New Mexico at a stealthy 11.9 compared to its West Virginia counterpart at 13.7. So things it has going for this ship: big guns. Things it has going against it: one of the smallest health pools, not that good of a torpedo belt, not that fast, pretty low AA, mediocre range, and a extremely high detectability. Also, some things to look at, and this is from April White Mouse. You can check her out on shipcomrade.com. These are also going to be shown as work in progress because it does show some extra information that is potentially going into the game that has been announced by World of Warships. That is the effective the maximum effective HP of tier 6 battleships. As you can see, the New Mexico, which has gotten its proposed buff for the healing for the tech tree of USN battleships, which is also going to make the New Mexico or the rest of the USN line extremely strong. As you see, the West Virginia is one of the lowest. So things it has going for it. Not that many things right now. One of the lowest effective health pools of this tier, and already having one of the smallest health pools, just beating out the Normandy. So nothing really to write home about there. But with those guns, right, those guns are going to smash everything. Let's check out the DPM of tier 6 battleships. West Virginia is middle of the pack. So the Dunkirk, known as being, it tried its best tier 6 battleship, and then also the work in progress PEF there as well. So the DPM of the it's very mediocre. It's very middle of the pack, I would say. Matsu just being above it with tier actually really close, but just beating out the Queen Elizabeth, the Warspite, and the Prince Idol Frederick. Those having much higher health pools to play around with, and a couple other of the German ships. But the German ships also really can't be citadeled, so that's something to keep in mind too. The Dunkirk, though, at least tried its best. So again, shout out to April for setting up these white mouse, setting up these awesome diagrams to look at. You can check her out on shipcomrade.com. I'll put a link down below. So what is written on paper doesn't always mean what actually happens, so let's check out some gameplay of the West Virginia. Now, this is a ship, I'll be honest with you, and I don't want this to be an entire roast of this ship. I just want to be completely honest with you what I feel about this ship, especially when people ask me, is this ship worth it? I was thinking of making a funny thing of me playing this ship and then absolutely dreading it, but I thought that might be a little too mean for this ship. I mean, at least this thing kind of tries. Again, I don't want this to be a total roast of this, but this game, I played this ship on stream about 15-20 times, and again, this is my own opinion on this. This is just all of my play style. Is this game took me a while, and I had a couple of decent games. This was about 15 games to finally get one that was good enough, as I would say good enough to make a review video on. It's about 15, 20 games it took me to actually get one decent game to actually tell you guys that I don't think this ship is worth it. I really don't. And it's going to kind of seem a little weird to say, like, well, you're just about to dev strike this poor little Nuremberg. How can you say that this ship isn't worth it? Again, this game right here took me about 15 to 20 games to actually get one that says, all right, this is good enough. This is the only game, this is one of 2 games we actually got 100,000 damage on, and again, it wasn't anything that special. If you were playing the USS New Mexico or the Arizona, you would have had much better situations, much better games on a more consistent basis, and that is the problem that this ship has, its inconsistency. It has major guns, the guns are massive, but there's another ship in this tier that has massive guns, which is the Matsu, which is also known as not being one of the strongest ships at this tier. People enjoy the Matsu, but it's also one that tends to be inconsistent because the bigger the guns, not always, but bigger the guns, it tends to be less accurate, less consistent, and that's affected by the Sigma. And there we go with the horn. So, but this game, this ship is something that I just really don't see the need for people to pick up. And the reason being is that we're honking at the other West Virginia down there, and the thing, it doesn't really bring anything unique to this tier. This is a very hostile tier, as I said earlier, for new tier 6s. And you can see some big hits right here. This is that big gun, that big caliber gun going to work, and that's where this thing is going to kind of shine. But again, consistency is what this ship lacks. And when I want ships at this tier, our battleships especially, I want shells. Big shells, less big shells is not usually better than more small shells. Look at ships that are extremely strong at this tier. They all have about 12 shells going out. So you have the Fuso, the New Mexico, Arizona. These are ships that are slinging tons of shells. They're smaller caliber, but look at ships at this caliber, Omaha, stuff like that. I noticed myself getting tons of overpens on these cruisers because the 406 bigger doesn't always mean better when it comes to World of Warships. So you don't want to just be purely overpen and everything. The time that this ship is going to shine is when something's giving you not the best angles, because you'll just absolutely punch them right in the mouth, just like we did kind of the battle on West Virginia with almost a 15k salvo. Again, I'm going to sound very contradictory to myself when we show kind of how hard we hit in this game, but just remember, it took us several games to finally get one that looked like this. So when I play ships, I want something consistent. And one thing to even think about is the Royal Navy event that was going on a while ago could have got you the Warspite for free, which is something that I would consider, and most people consider, an extremely strong ship. You could have gotten that one for free or pretty dang cheap. So that's something to keep in mind too when going to purchase this. Again, I don't want this whole thing to be a roast, so we'll try to talk about some highlights of this ship. But I just want to be brutally honest to you guys on what I think about this ship, especially being at one of the more fun tiers for battleships, and actually being one of the tiers coming up for rank sprint in one of the future ones. But overall, what does this ship have in characteristics? It's very USN. It's slow. It's slow. It does hit hard, but it's not like it brings a better situation to play a battleship. And there we go. Nice little 39 damage, 38 damage. Sorry about that. It's USN battleships aren't known for being fast. They're not known for being maneuverable, but this one just kind of makes the pain of that playstyle even worse. Again, I talked about the closed beta Colorado with its inconsistency to its shells, really making me dislike battleships for a long time because of just kind of straddling shells on both sides of the ship. In one, you know, half in front of the ship, half behind the ship, and you saw that all the time. Now, and of course, I did kind of find it kind of funny that we got the dev strike on the first salvo of the game, but you know, Battleship's going to do that no matter which battleship. But when I played this, there were so many situations where I would have much rather been in something else, like the Fuso. I personally love the Normandy because of how fast it is. This is a ship that is slow, but it's one that you really need to pick your sides. Like, look at the defending side, with it having one of the lowest ranges. Well, actually, I think the lowest range regardless. And our team is actually doing pretty good over here. We're just trying to push this in and basically cap this out. But having kind of no speed to flex, this is something you need to keep moving forward. And overall, just maybe isn't going to be the most fun for most people to play. Again, do I think it's worth it? No, I think this is an easy pass for most people. It's a great ship collecting ship if you want to pick it up. It is tier 6, so it's not going to be extremely expensive, but I feel like you can get your worth out of other ships. Even at tier 6, I think out of 3 USN battleships, I think this is the third best one at this tier. It's not better than the Arizona. It's not better than the New Mexico. So in my mind, there's no reason to really pick it up. And sorry about the replay. When we use spotter plane, it does get a little messed up here. But we'll kind of push this guy down a little bit. 3 kills so far. 3 hits, 3 citadels, 1 dev strike off the start of that poor Nuremberg. And again, you can see kind of the full pens here that you can get. But you can kind of see the dispersion that you get with these shells. Again, kind of the pattern of the ship is to just bigger isn't always better. And the reason being is that I would rather take smaller, more accurate shells than bigger, kind of wonky shells. Yes, it's going to have the highest tied with the Mutsu for the most damage per AP pen or citadel damage, but I wouldn't really want that. The dev strikes I was having with this ship weren't happening as many times as, let's say, like the Fuso, or let's say even the New Mexico. You are very, very, I wouldn't quite say defenseless in a way, but you are very kind of weak to planes with a very low A. You can't really help yourself out, and it's not like an A build is going to really do anything for you. And weak to torpedoes, having one of the worst at the USN battleships, and effective range with being relatively slow, having a shorter range than both the other New Mexico and the Arizona. And on top of that, again, having the Warspite being a ship that most people could have just gotten for extremely cheap or free. This is a weird ship to have right now, and at a 13.5 kilometer range, only hitting 2 shells out of that, that seemed a little bit of a bummer on a stationary target. I couldn't tell you how many times I missed stationary targets in this ship, and this is a ship I went out of my way to really try and like, and it was just something that just didn't mesh with me. A lot of people were saying that, hey, the ship just didn't mesh with you, and I put tons and tons of time into this ship to check it out and to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. There we go. We finally hit a ship that was stuck against a rock. But anyways, 100,000 damage. It took us a lot of games to finally get that, and it was a struggle to get through. I just want to be brutally honest with you guys. I don't see the need for this ship. I don't see the hype or some hype around this ship. I just found this ship to be very clunky, very inconsistent, and really not even that good. When I would have much rather been in the New Mexico every time I played this. New Mexico is a free ship. Arizona tier 6, it's already a tried and true ship that's really, really good. Better armor, better basically everything. So in the end, review of this ship, I think it's a fantastic collector ship. The extra camo is kind of cool, having the horn, that's unique. But do I think the ship is that good? Not really. I think it's a basic bottom tier for tier 6 battleships. Do I think it's a good trainer for USN? Sure. It brings big caliber shells to the field, sure, but I think you'll have much more success in nearly every other tier 6 battleship. This is going to sound like a brutal review and a brutal worth it, but save your money. The ship is an easy pass, and there's a lot of other better tier 6s out there, even USN. But anyways, guys, want to make a real review for you, a brutally honest review of this ship, and I hope this kind of enlightens you, and let me know what you guys think down below of the West Virginia. You guys interested? I know that a lot of people were interested that they did the 1941 version. I know some people wanted the other versions of that ship. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that in the future. That might be kind of cool. But just wanted to give you guys a real review of this ship and my thoughts on it. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.